Hi, Melanie Muenchinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. Today I have a new project for you with my set A Year of Flowers 2 from Gina K Designs, and this is a triple panel stamping technique. So you may have seen this technique before. I know I've shown it on my blog, but I don't believe I've ever done it in a video. One way that I twisted it here though, the traditional or classic way to do this technique is to have these three panels, the 1, 2, 3 for the triple panel lined up, and that looks very classic, but because offset layers are really on trend, and just to give it kind of a twist, I twisted the panels. So I'm going to show you some different tips about how to make this technique even easier for you, but it's really fun to do, and it just creates a really cool illusion the way these are layered up, and yet you have a continuous pattern on there with your stamping. I'm going to be using, as I said, the A Year of Flowers 2 set. So this is a clear set, and I just showed some examples for how to color it. This particular flower is one of the easiest ones to color in a set that's already very easy to color. And then I'm also going to be using a greeting from the Hello Friend set. This is the new incentive stamp set right now. You can get it for free with any qualifying $75 purchase right now from Gina K Designs, but it will be available in the store for purchase at $10.95 in just a few weeks. Okay. In addition to that, you're also going to need some ink pads. I'm going to be using the Memento Tuxedo Black and the Gina K Fresh Asparagus. I've got just some small acrylic blocks for doing my stamping and a little bit of adhesive for laying those layers down. I have some foam squares for popping the layers up. Going to be using some Spectrum Noir markers today. I've got the CT4 and the CT3 for the flowers, the GB9 for the centers, the DG2 and the CG2 for the leaves and stem, the DR2 for that little ladybug. It's a nice little accent. And then I didn't use this, but if you want to, you can do some shadows on the flowers. So I think I'll probably go ahead and do that at the end. And then I have just a white gel pen for doing some accents and to help make that greeting a little bit easier to read since you're putting it over your stamping. The cardstock that you're going to be using, so this is the most important part of this technique, is having your layers ready. So I've got some Gina K Black Onyx and some of the white. So what you're going to want to do, and I have this little list right here, you're not limited to making them these sizes, but traditionally that's how you're going to do it because you want to have enough of the pattern showing through. So you need to have enough of a gap in between each of the layers so that you'll see your stamping, but there's also going to be a mat in here. That's important because anytime you stamp an image over two pieces of paper, what you're going to get is a little bit, it's going to catch that edge and it's going to skip. Even though the paper is very thin, you're still going to have that. But what this does, once you put your stamping over it, when you put a mat behind it, it covers it up, and so it's just going to look continuous. Really cool. But you can try this with different dies that you have, and it doesn't always have to be a rectangle, but traditionally this is the way that I see it. So what you're going to do, remember, so you'll have your A2 size mat, so this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Then I want a 1/8 inch mat, so we've got a 4 inch by 5 1/4, and this is the size mat that I use most often on my cards because I like that little 1/8 inch reveal. Then what you want to do for each of the mats that you're stamping is you're going to go down 1 inch on each side, okay? So you're just going to subtract an inch each time. So each side you're going to have that. And then here and then here. So you see 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3. Then and I'll post these below. But then these are all going to be adding 1/4 of an inch to each side so that you have a 1/8 on each one. So you see you went up 2 to 2 1/4, 3 1/4 to 3 1/2. So, and this stays consistent too. So you see 4 1/4, 3 1/4, 2 1/4, 5 1/2, 4 1/2, 3 1/2. So when you realize that that's the pattern, it just makes it a lot easier. But again, what you can also do if you don't want to stay consistent to these sizes, you can cut these and then you can just take it over to your paper trimmer if you're just someone who doesn't like to measure, and then just place it on there and do your trimming. All right, so let's get started doing our stamping. And what you might want to do is if you have maybe some temporary adhesive or these dots, these are actually permanent, but it just puts on a little bit so you can actually remove it. I'm going to put just a tiny bit on the back, excuse me, so that it's not going to move around as much when I'm doing my stamping and my coloring. So what I wanted to do here, and again, if you want, you know, you could do them like this, you could do them like that, but so I am just going to tilt my layers today. And I don't want to put my black ones on yet, although that is nice that when you have black, you could stamp over both layers and you won't see your stamping on this black mat, but again, it's going to catch that edge, so I would wait to put those on there. And then I'm just going to do this one right here. Okay, now I'm going to start with stamping my flower, and so I'm making this one the focal point, so I want to have this one kind of showcased. So all the other ones are going to be collage stamped around it, but this one I want to see the full flower. So I'm going to do that stem and leaf in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just fill in around it, and I turn the stamp as I go so that it's not always facing the same direction. And I'm thinking about making sure that it crosses at least 2 of those panels, because that's what makes it so pretty, being able to see that they're lining up as if you had some kind of printed paper, but it's still working on these wonky angles. Now I'm going to do my stems, and on this one I used one that's actually open. I think though I'm going to use this solid one that I have with the green. Okay, so I'm going to put that right there. And then I'm going to stamp my leaves. Okay, so I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to put one down here. And it's okay if they overlap the flower. This is kind of the beauty of this sketch set, that they can overlap a little bit. And also the other thing I love about this sketch set is that you don't have to color all the way up to the edge on the lines. It's really going to be one of the easiest ones that you can color. So I just dab in little bits, and you'll see that in a moment. Okay, so we've got our leaves on there now. So that's all the stamping that I'm going to do there. And then let me go ahead and add my greeting real quick. Where did I put it? Just pulled this off. There we go. So you can be mindful of that, of where you're going to have your greeting, but you can also, after you've done your coloring, go over it with a white pen, and that's going to make that pop out from your stamping. And then I'm going to add one of these little ladybugs that I have in here to that flower, and you can do the same thing. Wait, is this the same ladybug I used before? No, here it is. Just wanted it facing this way, kind of opposite the greeting. Oh. Okay. And so if it overlaps some of your stamping, you can just go in with the white pen to go over those lines. So I'll show you in a second, after we do the coloring, how I'm going to do that on that greeting. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our coloring here. So I'm going to start on these leaves. I'm going to use the lighter green. I'm going to do the bigger edge just because it'll go a little bit quicker. So all I'm doing is just dabbing it into those open leaves. So you see, I'm not taking time to just get it right in there. This is just very, very quick. And then I'm going to do just a touch of this darker green, the CG2, and I'm going to use the bullet tip just because I want this to be just a touch. So this is to the centers. So you'll be glad that you had 2 different colors, because it just really makes a big difference having 2 shades and giving it just some richness and depth. Okay. Then I'm going to do my flowers, and again, this is just so easy to color. All I'm doing is just scribbling that in. So I just want to have a lighter yellow base. I love yellow with black and white. It's just so fun for spring and summer. Makes me want some lemonade. Okay, that's it. Now let's layer on the darker yellow. And so I'm just going to put this near the centers. I just love how fast I can work and that it still looks good with this set. And then I'm going to put a little bit of brown into the middles there, and you're just swirling that in. And if you'd rather dot it in to really kind of just fill in those open circles, you can, but I'm just showing you how fast that works. Okay, and then I'm going to do that little ladybug there. And I just love having just one little thing kind of pop on my cards. Okay, so now let's do, and let me add real quick. So we're going to go around in here. I was actually originally going to do some vellum, but I didn't have any vellum, and I didn't overlap it that much. But so just go into those open areas. It's not going to completely cover up your coloring, but it does make it easier to read. And if you want to actually trace all the way around it, you can also do that. And that kind of makes it look like it's like a die cut that you've layered. So just go around your letters. Right here and right here, just in those little loops. And then just above it, it's going to look like you actually masked that greeting. Okay? So now let's add, pull this away gently. And you're going to use just the tape adhesive for putting these on their mats. And then you're going to use the foam squares for isn't that cool? And this is another way, you know, you could actually mask this off, and you could put a large greeting in there, like maybe one of the massive message greetings if you wanted to, but that's not triple stamping, obviously. That's what I'm trying to show today. Okay, so I've got this one. And then we're going to use our foam squares. And this is kind of like paper piecing when you're lining these up. Once you just twist it, and then once the line, okay, so it goes this way. No, it goes this way. That's important. Okay, so this one is going to go, I'm looking for these leaves, getting these to match up here. And then my stem. Okay, and then we'll do this one, so just put one on each corner. But it'd be fun to do like with your shape dies to have some different labels, or maybe even some hearts. And I'm looking for this top leaf right there. Okay, and then I'll just put some adhesive here. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this twisted triple panel stamping project today. Please visit my blog, Hands, Head, and Heart, for more ideas and inspiration using all of our stamp sets, and visit us at Gina K Designs and Stamp TV. Thank you for watching today. God bless.